Hey everyone, welcome to episode 51 of PixlFeed Radio, and I'm here with my friend Richard Walsh. Richard, how you doing, man? How are you?
I am outstanding, Christian. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, man. For those of you that don't know, Richard, he's the author of a book called "Escape the Owner Prison," and it's a book to teach entrepreneurs that try to do everything themselves, how to outsource and how to let go and make things happen with by hiring other people to get it done for them. So, Richard, tell me a little bit about the book, man.
Well, Escape the Owner Prison started after, 30 years of being in business. Okay. So I made a lot of mistakes, a lot of successes. I had a lot of good things. And as time went by, a lot of things changed. And I realized that it was time to help others. I wanted to compress some time for other people and help them really make a success out of their business a lot faster, free themselves from their business. Most guys were technicians that came into their business and they tend to still work in the business instead of on the business. So I wanted to give them a real roadmap to get them out of that, because a lot of things guys get in it, then you get mired down in the day to day and you can't really find your way out because you really don't have anyone to show you. They don't teach it in school. They don't, there's no real way to learn this unless you're able to follow someone who's already been there. And most guys don't have access to it. So I wrote the book. That was great. It became a bestseller in like 10 categories, and that was awesome. And then I created an academy and things like that. So that was the catalyst behind the book itself, was really to help other people not suffer what I suffered.
That's good. That's good. I mean, because a lot of business owners, when they're starting out, they don't have the experience. They make a lot of mistakes, and you learn from your failures. I know I made tons of mistakes throughout the years, but I always learn from it. But I've never been one of those people who just tries to do everything themselves. At first, I did, but as soon as I knew that I could hand off some tasks to other people, and in order to be able to scale the business, that's the first thing I did, because you can't do it all, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think the hardest step is that first person, right? Hiring that first individual that takes stuff off your plate. If you can get past that first one or two people, the road's pretty open for you. Then you get that confidence. You're able to trust others and then move forward for sure.
So before we keep going about, how do you the process that you show for people to do, and when you talk about the book, why don't you tell me a little bit about your background? People love to hear all these stories. So how did you get started on your own? Were you always an entrepreneur at heart when you were a kid? Were you always had like a side gig going on or something? Or did you, work for somebody else and then slowly but surely transfer into your own business?
I think I always had the entrepreneurial spirit. I mean, as a kid, I always did stuff because my dad taught me to work early in life. So I was always hustling, always finding a way to work. He'd get me little gigs, landscape stuff, things like that. We were in the golf course construction and maintenance business. And I would go out and rake leaves, cut grass, dig holes, and I worked for him. So that was always good. Got out of high school. College was not going to be for me. I got in line to sign up, but it didn't work. I had to tear everything up, and I was looking around like freaking out, like it's not going to work for me. So I went and joined the Marine Corps instead, because that's so much easier.
Slow down. So what's funny? Out of all the people that I've had on, I gotta say, most people that are entrepreneurs now, they all start mowing lawns. That's like a thing here in the U.S., which I think it's very interesting. It's like the one thing that almost everybody that I talk to in here does, which is that's pretty cool. But hold on, what about college? Because I didn't realize that college wasn't for me until like I was halfway through, and I'm like, screw this, I want to make money. But I was having too much fun partying, the girls, the booze, partying every night. So that's what I was there for. I wasn't really there for the education. Like I used to sit there, I'm like, I already know this. Like I don't care about geometry, I don't care about calculus. That's not going to help me. You know what I mean? And that's when I decided to drop out and start my first business. But you knew that before you even started. So what made you, my generation is like from day one, it's like, you got to go to college, you got to go to college, you got to go to college. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with that, but I knew that wasn't for me. Like I knew I could get so much more done without going through all of that. I'm like, I don't care about learning about this stuff. You know what I mean? But you knew it beforehand. So you went straight to the Marine Corps. So how did that go? You just went like, this is not for me. Like before you even started?
Yeah, I I literally was standing in line. I had a check. I was at a community college, and I was going to do that. I was going to do. I'll be a walk-on basketball player or something. I had these tiny aspirations, but I'm standing there and people are in line. I'm looking around the campus thing where I'm signing up. I'm like, and it just, to use a term I use a lot these days, especially, it was sheep everywhere. Sheep. I'm like, I can't do this. I'm moving forward, which is weird because I did go into the Marine Corps after this. So a lot of people say it's kind of contradictory, but I was like,
I was just
and I
about
looked
to
around,
say.
I can't do it. And I literally ripped up the check and the schedule and I threw it in there, but I always wanted to be a Marine since I was a kid. I even tried to join when I was like 13 years old. I was a big kid and stuff, but then, how old are you? And I'm like, well, I'm 13. He goes, well, here, you take these stickers in this little folder and you come back as soon as you graduate high school. So that was
when you're
humorous.
18.
But right, yeah. Yeah, and I did. I waited till I was 17. I could go in. So when I was 17, I was out of high school, and I skipped the college thing straight into the Marine Corps, which was good for its time. Okay, but what the Marine Corps taught me, Christian, was that I don't take direction really well. Okay, now you have to in the Marine Corps, and I did.
Yeah.
But when I got out,
Yeah.
that was the whole thing. It's like the college wasn't going to work because my mindset wasn't there, and and I was like, I'm going to lead and not follow. And college seemed to me to be a follower. Now, I know it's not, but in my mind, it was like you said, a lot of things that I was not going to be able to use. I wanted to make things happen. So definitely in Marine Corps, you could go make things happen, in some aspects. So I did that, great training, did all that, got out. And then I'm like, I was going to work for myself. I got a job, of course, and all that, but my focus was on how do I do this and how do I move forward without working for someone else, because working for Uncle Sam was long enough and hard enough, and I didn't want to repeat that.
You know what though? I mean, like somebody like me, I mean, I grew up in a household. My parents, like, I guess I was spoiled, but my dad always made me work since I was a kid. So if I didn't work, I didn't get stuff, right? But they did set boundaries, when I was growing up as a teenager and stuff like that. But I had pretty much free reign to do whatever I wanted, just like certain, like, you got to be home by a certain time, or don't do this and don't do that type of deal. And that was pretty much it. And I was joke around that I probably, now that I think back, like a good 1 year, like in the Army or something, on a Marine Corps, like just a boot camp, that could kick my ass when I was a teenager, I think it would have done a lot of good for me, man, because I didn't really get like discipline until like literally like when I hit like 30, somewhere around there. You know what I mean? I was always like, I was like organized chaos. Like I knew what was going on everything I was doing, but I was never organized. You know what I mean? I was never disciplined with my time and the stuff that I was doing, or my life in general, for that matter. And then after I hit 30, that's when I was like, all right, I gotta get my shit together. Like I'm wasting too much time doing things I don't need to do. I'm not organized. I need to get organized. And that's when I like started getting disciplined. Like, all right, no more drinking during the week, only party on the weekends. You know what I mean? Work out every day, 6 times a week, eat healthy during the week, so I have the energy to get shit done. And then run my life through a calendar where I follow my tasks daily. You know what I mean? Like I wish that was implemented in me from the time I was a teenager, because I'm sure that would carry over like for the rest of my life. Like I see all my friends who were in the Army or the Marine Corps or even Navy. I have friends who are Navy SEALs. They're like disciplined to a T, man. And you can tell, the way they run their house, the way they everything about their life is disciplined. And I admire that.
Yeah, it's a good thing. I was pretty, I can't say I was in a strict household, but we were about work. I mean, my dad worked. He worked a lot. I mean, he taught me my whole work ethic, and I just kind of wanted to be with him, hang out. I wanted to work. I enjoyed sweating. I like working hard. I love throwing a pick. That was unusual, right? I love to dig holes and throw a pick and whatever. It was just an odd thing. That exertion was really good for me. And so that created my own discipline. I get up at 4 a.m, even when I was a little kid, and I, go help my dad change cups and tees, or, work with his guys on the golf course because we live right there. And then going through high school, again, I wasn't the education part. I mean, I never brought a book home, ever. My parents never enforced doing your homework or anything like that either. Okay. So I'll give you a quick little funny story. So I went to like 3 different high schools, but my senior year, I've got a group of friends, and they were I was always with the smartest kids in school, right? I was the dumbest, but I was always with the smartest. See, I was smart enough to know to be with I was the dumbest I was the dumbest smart guy there, right? So I knew to be with the smart people because they, they got things done. So we went to check our grade point averages right at the end of the senior year, and my buddy Victor, and he's like, "Well, get Richards," and they gets it, and he looks and he goes, "Well, this can't be his," and he hands it back to the lady, and it's like she's like, "No, that's his," and he goes, "It's like 1.79 or something was the grade point average, right? Barely, just like D." And I go, "No, Victor, that's right." He goes, "You can't. No one's this. No, this can't be you." And I'm like, "No, it's me, man. Trust me, it's me." So he was just astounded, because like I said, I'm actually, young, graduating, only had a few classes to take, but I'm like, I just never did homework. I was good at tests. It wasn't my thing, but I was into other stuff and I was disciplined in a different way. I was a runner and track and all that stuff, but the book thing never clicked with me. It just never worked with me, which is weird. Now I'm a best-selling author and everything else, but English had to repeat like twice, just to get through it in high school.
Oh,
so
I joke around.
It's just an unusual thing, but
I joke around here all the time that, I failed algebra 2 like twice and then calculus like twice. And then it's like, I hated math. And now I deal with numbers all day long and budgets, but it's different because I enjoy it, I guess. You know what I mean? So it's just funny to me that, if it's something you care about, you'll put your mind into it and you'll figure it out. But if it's something that you're obligated to do just because you have, just like, I don't care. But now that I run budgets and ads for clients and myself, I'm like, I love seeing those numbers on the dashboard and be like, all right, how can I get my next highest score today? So it's funny how that works.
Yeah. And you're the guy I want to hire, right? I want someone who loves that. I don't want to hire a dummy like me, right? That's not going to help me. So I got to go to the experts. And that's what I always teach in my book too. You got to find the experts. You can't, you're not going to know everything. And you should not waste any time thinking you should know everything. You should have an understanding, but you don't need to be an expert.
That's what I tell people all the time. I'm like, it's okay for you to start doing it yourself and get an understanding of it and know how to do it. But pick one thing you're really good at, and that's your expertise, whether it's running the business or doing one other thing, but you have to pick one and then find the best of the best that you can afford to take care of the rest. The biggest problem that people have is they don't do their research or diligence and they just hire anybody off the street. And I always say, take your time to hire and fire on the spot. People for some reason, especially first-time owners, they're like all scared of firing somebody. I'm like, dude, they'll find another job. It's, it sucks. I've been fired from shitty jobs when I was growing up. It is what it is. It sucks. But what? It was a good thing that I was fired, because I learned my lesson or whatever, and it's something I didn't like in the first place. Anyway, I was just doing it just to get money. And then, if it's not a match, just get rid of them. Just take your time to hire, do the research. So let's go back a little bit. So you went to the Marine Corps. And then after you were done, what happened? You just started your own business after that? Or did you get a job and then transfer to doing your own thing after that?
Yeah, I got out. Yeah, I got out and I started doing what I knew, right? Landscaping. So let me start some kind of landscape business. Let me work. And I was in Arizona at the time. So I started a landscape company. And out there, a lot of it's granite in the yards, gravel, basically, granite yards, all this stuff, and some cactus and whatever. So I would literally have 35 tons of gravel dumped on the street in front of the house. And with a shovel and a wheelbarrow, I'd scoop this up and move it, spread it out in the whole yard in one day. 100 degrees. I just loved it. But I started making money, which is really good. I also started boxing at that time. So I was really focused on my boxing. I trained twice a day. I do all that stuff outside all day, just really hardcore, kind of living that way. And then I started doing artificial stone, like at the zoos and stuff. Then I started putting water on those, making water features. And then got rid of the fake stone, went to the real thing, and really carved out a niche in, like the late 80s, early 90s for water features, backyard water features. And I grew that business into just a nationally recognized deal as one of the best in the country. And I would teach other people, and I became a steel sculptor and made massive steel sculptors, to complement my water features. Then I did national, huge public displays and things like that. I would put in exhibits, things like that. So it just kind of took it on its own life, and I kept pushing forward and became real successful in that. Yeah, I did a little bit of working for other people as I got things going. I was into fitness and fitness training. I did all that stuff too as I really got my business off the ground. So I kind of was hustling, making the money, building clientele, doing projects in the summer into the fall, and then training in the winter. And then it all finally just took off. I could be full time, and I just became really great at it.
That's pretty awesome, man. All right. So, and then you were doing that. And then at one point, did you have the idea to write the book? Like when did that happen?
That was, well, the book came out last July. So July of 2019, it came out. So the idea came probably 6 months before that, 8 months before that. I'm like, I should write a book. So I wanted to write a book. And 09, 08, 09, everything crashed. I lost everything. I'd done a bunch of foolish stuff. So I retired from the business. I didn't literally lose it. I lost a lot of things, but I just was done. I had built over 1,000 water features, and I kind of had lost my spark for it. So I kind of got out of everything, right? So I sold all my welding equipment. I burned my clothes, my uniforms. I'm an all or nothing guy. Moved on, started new stuff. But then that's when I started thinking about, wow, I really am good at the business thing. And I'm making this stuff work, but there's a better way to do it. So I said, let's write the book. So in 2019, I started on the book, did an outline, knocked out the book pretty quick. Whereas I like to tell people, it took me a month to write it. Well, a month and 30 years. Okay, that was actually my actual time frame. Because if I didn't have 30 years of experience, I couldn't have written the book. So I got an editor, helped me change a few words here and there. Actually, it was a pretty smooth process. I came out with that, launched the book, and then was really excited about that because I've always kind of been a writer my whole life. I love to write stuff. But to make a book and then make it a bestseller was like pretty exciting. And then I wanted to capitalize on that again as a business owner and a business builder. How can I take that now and how can I get it to people and help them share it with them so they can make their businesses better? So then I created my ETOP Academy, which again, people subscribe to, and then we teach and I got a whole process they go through to really turn their business around and create the freedom in their life that they got in the business for.
So what was the process for writing the book? Because somebody was telling me the other day, it's like, oh man, you should write a book. And I'm like, dude, I open an email and I'm just like, I don't even want to write. I'm a one sentence type of email type of dude. Like even to people that I work with, it's like, they know when they know me, like by the time they get to know me and they know my personality, they know like it's just me being me. But at first it's funny, everybody that starts working for me or clients or whatever, they think that, I have an attitude or I'm being an asshole because all my emails are just like straight to the point, one line. You know what I mean? I don't do the whole, hey, I hope you're doing well today. I don't do any of that. It's just like, hey, that's it, and so the thought of me sitting in front of a screen and writing a book just sounds like torture as well. So what was the process? Because somebody taught me once that the best way to do it is to get someone to interview you and grab all of that and then have a ghostwriter, an editor go through it and actually turn it into a book. So you mentioned you work with an editor, but what was your process like to actually write the book?
So that's a great way to do it. A ghostwriter is good, or what they call a hybrid ghostwriter the only issue with a ghostwriter is you got to get someone who can capture your voice. Right, it's got to be you.
Yeah.
It can't. I mean, you could hire someone on Fiverr to write a book for you, and it'll be dry as bones. You know what I mean? It won't. No one will want to read it. So my process, since I can write a bit, I literally okay, I just create an outline. Here's 10 things I want to have, 10 chapters. Here's my topics I want to write about. That's how I had to start. Now I got that. Okay, let's write something about it. So I literally stood at my kitchen counter. I like stand-up desks. So I use my kitchen counter, and I would spend 8-10 hours a day writing. Okay, but I get on it and I stay on it till I'm done. Right, till all the meat's off the bone. I'm that kind of guy. Right, nothing's going to be left of that thing when I start. So my family would go on like 5-day trips to Chicago. Hang out with the in-laws and everything else. Because we homeschooled the kids, so we had a lot of flexibility. And they'd leave, and I'd just stay and write. I just write stuff out. Every time I got a chapter done, I had an editor. I'd give it to her, and she would send back changes. And the cool thing about the editor that I'll tell you that maybe it'll help encourage you is she would move 1 or 2 words. Literally, that's it. Add some commas and some periods or punctuation, and it would be amazing. So I had had the gift to write, but then that little tweaking made it really sweet. Like I couldn't have done that on my own, even though it was so little. But she sent each chapter, and I was cranking it out so fast. She's like, I just got to tell you, no one's ever written this fast for me. So I kind of, so I'm like, what do you need next? She's like, well, you're going pretty fast. Let me catch up on the editing, And then about 3.5 weeks, I had the whole book written, And
That's
then
pretty
she edited
awesome,
and everything else. Okay, we put it together. Now I got to put it on Kindle. Yeah, Kindle, and let's get it on Amazon. And I got to publish this thing. And I self-published it and everything else. I learned some other stuff to help me get boosting the rankings and everything else. And that's kind of how it went. So I'm a get it done guy, man.
That's pretty awesome. So,
but that doesn't work for everybody.
No, I agree.
I'm unusual.
No, man, I don't think I could do it. So let's talk about, all right. So when somebody joins your program, what is the first thing that you look at their business? What is the process? Walk me through the process. Like if I join your academy, what is the process that you take me through to get me to scale my business to another level by starting to actually tasks and hire people in my team? What is that process like?
Well, there's 12 different sections in the academy that you start with, plus a ton of bonus training and all that other cool stuff. But from a program standpoint, the first one is called Concept to Creation. All right. So even though you may have been in business 5 years or 10 years or 3 years, or you're just getting ready to start, that's a critical section that I start everyone at. The first two are like not the most important, but they're there for a reason. The first one's Concept of Creation. So you actually dive into exactly what you're doing, why you're doing it, who's your competition, and it makes you back up if you're in business, because most guys skip that, right? Like me, you go start cutting grass. I'm be a landscaper. It's a low barrier to entry. I buy a mower and I start cutting grass. But you're not thinking about growing your business. So I make them step back, lay this stuff out. We work together and we lay this back. We lay it all out so they understand exactly what they're doing, who their customer is. We do all that. And then the next thing we do is actually immediately after that is called our exit strategy. And we focus on the end. Okay, you have to start with the end in mind. So number 2 is, where am I going? How much is enough? What's my number? If I'm going to build a business to sell, how much do I want for that business at what year? If it's year 10, year 8, year 15, do I want to hand it down to my children? What do I want to do this? What's my passive income strategy going to be? How am I going to replace that business income with my passive income? So we spend some time, we really lay that out really well. So that becomes the number one filter that every business question is answered. Anyone wants you to do something, any purchase of a vehicle, purchase of a software program, anything you do, it has to filter through your exit strategy. Is it forwarding me to my exit strategy, or detracting away from my exit strategy? That's like a really critical element that most guys don't have. Once you understand your exit strategy, you can make really sound and quick decisions that's going to move your business forward to that exit strategy, right? So you're always looking, and some people think they're never going to get out of their business. And now that I have 30 years, okay, the reality is you're going to get out, and it may not be voluntarily.
I don't know, man.
Right? So build a business that someone's going to want to buy. You don't know what's going to happen.
I don't think I'll ever get out either. Well,
but you don't know if it's going to be your health or.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
You will.
I'm just the type of person. I'm wired.
You'll just be into something else. I'm not saying you.
No, I was going to say, I'm just, the way that I'm wired is, it's like, I will never stop working. I'm just not wired that way. My dad is the same way. My grandfather worked till the day he died, but they all love what they do. So it's the same way. I love what I do. So to me, it's not really work. You know what I mean? Now, I'm sure when I get older, I'll be like, I'm tired. I want to step back a little bit. Then yeah, I'm going to set those blocks in place, and I already have passive income, streams set in place that will take care of me for the rest of my life. But I don't think I will ever fully step back. I think I can step back and have more people manage things. And I think the way technology is going too, it's going to make it a lot easier. But as far as like mentally, I need something to do. I don't understand people who can wake up every day and do nothing and watch 10 hours of Netflix. Like that doesn't register in my brain. Like the perfect vacation for my wife is to go and lay by a pool all day long, having drinks. I'm all for the drinks part of things, but I need activities, man. I need bar, I need music, I need people around me. I can't just lay there all day. You know what I mean? Like I need something that's stimulating every day, like I just, that's just the way that I'm wired. So I find that interesting that some people can actually just, okay, I'm retired, I'm done,
No, I agree with you totally. I'm never retiring. Okay. But what my point is that it doesn't mean I can go start another business. Right. But if you
Right.
don't build your business to sell, all right, because the reason why you build it to sell is because you build an incredibly powerful and awesome business that you can be hands off. If you're not building it to sell, you're stuck in everyday data. You're opening the door every day so everyone else can come in and go to work. That's what you do. When you build it to sell, you can reach 10 years and you wanted to get 5 million and you can say, I'm not ready yet. Well, that's your call. You can push it
Right.
out another 2 years, 5 years. Oh, economy's good. But again, being in business a long time, economies come and go. Right. So you need to always have that ability to exit that business. It might be the right time when you know in your heart, like, man, things are going down, like my old business, right? Big luxury items. You get an 08, 09 crash, nobody's buying a backyard pond. Okay.
Right.
I lost $500,000 of business, the day after the election in 08 on November 5th, because everyone was terrified. Right. So then what do you have to get rid of? So if you build a business, Christian, I'm just like you, never going to be done working. Not till the
Yeah.
day I check out. Right. I'm talking because there's always something to do. I'm not a
Right.
go golf all day guy. I'm not a sit around. Just like just the thought of that is like, I'd rather, I don't know what. Just let me check out. You know what I mean?
Well,
That's like prison. Okay, that's prison. All right.
Yeah, what I always learned from my grandfather and my dad, and even one of my mentors, is like the first move you got to hire the best people around you, and once you hire the best people around you, you got to have a right hand, COO that you can trust, and you still keep an eye on, obviously, but that you can trust and literally run the business for you, where all you have to say is yes or no, yes or no, yes or no, and that's it. And you can be involved as you want, but you can also step back and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to go to Hawaii for a month. You guys have fun. You know what I mean? And it's like, and it's taken care of, that's what you want to achieve. That's what you're getting at with what you're saying with the whole, you want to be able to sell.
Exactly. You want all those things in place. Who doesn't want that, right? Who doesn't want, the self-sufficient, self-running business? That's the goal. It shouldn't need me. If it needs me, I'm broken. All right. Something's broken in my system. If they need me for executive decisions, I want to focus on what I always call my 5%. Focus on the 5% only I can do in the business. And that's vision. That's probably even growth strategies. That's networking, things like that, bringing the big clients in and stuff like that because of contacts I have, because my business is able to function, move forward and expand. I can go out and do the really important things that I actually love to do. That's when you get the freedom. Like you said, a month off, no problem. Come back, look, things are more profitable.
One thing that, one line that always like hit hard with me, it was like a couple of years ago. I wasn't down the YouTube rabbit hole, watching Elon Musk, Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, Bezos, just interviews. Like I always try to watch at least one interview here and there, just to see the way they think, And one line that hit me hard, and it was common between Bezos and Zuckerberg, actually. It was like, but Bezos said it best. He's like, I'm an Amazon, but when I'm working on an Amazon, it's 3 years into the future. So what I'm working on today, you won't see for another 3 years. So the everyday operations are ran by my executive team, and I don't deal with any of that. They handle all that stuff for me. I'm concentrating on what I do best. It is the future for the company and the future altogether 3 years ahead of time. So that one hit hard. It's like, man, like that makes sense because he's working on the rocket thing, whatever it's called, Blue Origin or whatever it's called. I can't remember the name of it. And Zuckerberg said the same thing. He's like, Cheryl runs the everyday operations, and I'm working on the future stuff. Like right now he's working on virtual reality and connecting the world through quote unquote virtual reality. So it makes sense, that I mean, obviously they have achieved those levels where you can hire the best of the best and they can really step back. But I mean, that's eventually the idea that you should have. That's what you should do at some point, or always be working on it, that you can step back and have a team handle everything for you.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's where freedom is. That's what, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, that really should be your goal. And again, you don't have to be SpaceX, you don't have to be Facebook, you don't have to be Amazon. But in your world, in your sphere of influence, in your market space, you should dominate your market space. You should be number one. And you should be able to spend time to focus. Like, say you do go to the beach, you're going to spend a week down there, go to Cozumel and do some scuba diving like I used to do, or down to Cabo San Lucas and you hang out. But that time to recharge gives you, believe me, as an entrepreneur, you're just going to continue to think and innovate. But being able to have that time to recreate recreation, right? Recreate new things that you're going to bring back to your business and start to implement down the road, just like you were saying. You can look down the road where people can't. You're the visionary. Visionaries see way down the road, but they can start putting things in place now so that becomes a reality.
One of the things that I've noticed too, with just from talking to entrepreneurs and I hear horror stories all the time. It's like, especially the ones that never worked anywhere else, and even some that worked for somebody else at one point, and they had horrible management, and that's what made them, move, do their own thing. It's like they don't know how to handle employees. Like, I always hear like horror stories of like, people treating their employees like shit, and I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, they get a power trip all of a sudden because they have the quote unquote their own business, and it's like, that's like the worst thing ever. Have you dealt with any of that with the people enrolled in your program? Do you have a section where you actually teach them? It's like, hey man, these are the people who are busting their ass for you. You should pay them accordingly and treat them accordingly.
Yeah, I have an entire section on that, actually. Yeah, it's about hiring A players and things like that. But what people don't get is, like, I've even stopped using the term employee. They're team members now, right? I have to create teams. Now, whether this is from my military experience, sports experience, things like that, you have to build a team. You have to empower your people. And if you get on a power trip, like, I do different things. I'm not better than you, okay? We're all equal in value as human beings, right? But we're not equal in potential, right? And that's just life, right? Some guys can do this. You can be a numbers guy. I'm not, all right? So you have to realize what your people's real skill set is, and but make them work together as a team, because employees are thinking about what's in it for them. Teams are not letting each other down, right? They know when they don't show up to work, the other 6 are gonna suffer. Right, the extra work's going to be put on them. So if you don't create that, culture, we call it, obviously company culture. It's probably one of the bigger buzzwords these days, but the reality is it's true. You have to, because people don't just work for money. Matter of fact, they seldom work for money. If you really break it down, you understand the psyche of accomplishment. Right, it's really about having a purpose, contributing to a mission. Right, having accomplishments, getting appreciation. That's the stuff that people live for. That's why they stay places. That's how you create loyalty. Loyalty is your number one trait you're looking for in people. Right, you want you don't want guys selling you out down the road 3 months later, 6 months later. I did have a conversation with a young guy the other day, just about that. Like, even if you train someone, I give my people everything. Right, train them as best I can, teach them everything I know. Let them grow. And you know what? In 4 years, they decide to go start their own business. That doesn't bother me. I shake their hand and say, if you need anything, let me know.
Absolutely.
Because that's what you want. It means you were good enough to bring someone to that level, and that person could possibly go and change the entire way the world does something because you helped him.
I tell people all the time too, it's like, you gotta strive to hire people better than you. And one thing, you can't expect everybody to work as hard as you do. Like, I don't turn off during the weekend. That's just me. It's my business. So again, I love what I do. I don't care. But I don't expect, any of the people that work with me to answer an email on a Saturday night or a Sunday morning. You know what I mean? Like, I don't expect that. And I think a lot of people expect that. Some people expect that too. And listen, it's like you just said, it's okay to hire somebody better than you. And, if you take care of them, they're going to take care of you. And at one point they decide to do their own thing, then what's wrong with that? It's like, just give me the heads up. That's all I ask you for. You just give me enough time. And if you treat them right, they're going to give you enough time to find somebody,
Right. If you can't, you got to think like, wow, I put another quality owner in the marketplace. Right?
Absolutely.
He's going to be literally great competition because he's not going to lowball. He's going to understand why you charge what you do and why you should charge what you charge. He's not going to go out and lowball all the time so you can take your business. It's not going to happen because you brought him up correctly. It's like training your own kids, right? I teach them integrity. I teach them work ethic. I give them moral values, so they go out and be good citizens. They create a business. They're going to have a great business because they've got a proper foundation to build on. So I'm all about mentoring and helping others. That's why I do the coaching and everything else. If you gotta breathe life into these people so they understand. When it comes down to the team and employees, we do a lot of correction on that. I even have a thing called the overhiring principle. Right? It doesn't mean you crazy overhire, but you always have more people because that's going to give you margin in your life to do more. Right? If you get one big hitter who loves to do a lot, you'll just keep stacking down that person until they break, and they'll keep saying yes. You can't do that to anybody. Yes, they're great. Yes, they can do a lot, but you've got to understand you got to give them a break too. You can't just keep loading up that same great person because they're going to break and they're going to leave. Then you're really going to be in trouble because that one person kind of did everything. So you don't want to create what you used to be, right? You don't want to be the guy who did everything who then just gets one person to do everything to replace you. You should have 5 and 10 that replace you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, Richard, enjoy our talk today, man, but unfortunately I'm out of time. That went by quick, dude. Crazy. Everybody, where can everybody find you? The podcast, the book, the academy. Let's tell everybody. All the links are going to be in the description, but go ahead. Tell everybody.
All right. So we got ETOP Podcast, ETOP, Escape the Owner Prison. Really simple. ETOP Podcast. Great. Christian's been on it.
Yep.
One of my star guest appearances. That's a great one. Anywhere on Facebook, you can find me, Richard Walsh. You can find Richard Walsh on there. I do have a Facebook group too. Escape the Owner Prison, Break Free Now. Same with the Escape the Owner Prison business page. All that great stuff. Anything else? Yeah, that's pretty much should cover it. LinkedIn, you can find me too. If you do that, I'm there, but I really never understood LinkedIn, but that's me. It's kind of like school. So school people are on LinkedIn. I don't remember. Yeah.
I can teach you how to use LinkedIn the right way. But anyway, guys, go check it out. If you need help growing your business, doing the correct way, and really take it to the next level, check out those links in the description below. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. If you're listening on the podcast, thank you. I'm assuming you're already subscribed. And till the next time, Richard, thank you so much, man. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.